A guy that I think that could also really break out this season, could fly under the radar a little bit, Noah Gray. I admittedly didn't know a whole lot about Noah Gray. Like, I knew of Noah Gray when he was selected, but I didn't dive too deep into the tight end class just because I thought, well, it's either Tommy Tremble or Brevin Jordan or Pat Fryermuth or bust, essentially. But they had their guy in Noah Gray, and dare I say it, Connor, he's kind of Travis Kelce-esque when he lines up, in the slot. When it comes to the pass catching
Yeah.
game, he does line up at various positions around the field. So what did you think about the Noah Gray selection? And not only the selection, but the trade up to get him?
Oh, Tucker, the trade up. I was so happy on Twitter when that was pulled off. I'm like, oh, we traded up. Oh God, we gave up our 6th round pick, didn't we? But instead, Brett Veach feels like he's learning his GM. He feels like he knows. He even said in the press conference, I'm sure we'll play it after this, that he didn't want to lose a dart throw. I think he literally said dart throw. So instead of giving away the 6th round pick or even a pick next year in a draft where people are like, it's going to be very deep, instead he just swaps picks with the, I believe, Jets. He
Yes.
swapped picks. So he moved up like 12 picks in the 5th round and fell 19 in the 6th round.
Mhm.
And because he didn't get rid of the 6th round pick, instead he just swapped, he gets somebody like Trey Smith with that pick. So I was so on board with that trade. If you're going to do trades, I would love it if they were all in that type of brand of pick or of trade where you don't lose picks, but you lose the value of that later pick, but you gain in the trade up. And there was also some of the metrics that graded trades based off like WAR and stuff for the players
Mhm.
selected there. They said it was a very even trade. So all in all, the trade up was great. And I like the player too. I mean, he's going to
Yeah.
be. They've tried to make this H back slash I think it's Y tight end type role work with like John Lovett, with Nick Keiser, and they've not really gotten it to work. But they've also not invested very highly in it. This is the highest like value slash money slash draft pick they've invested in this type of person, player. So, and I like the player a lot because Noah Gray, it was kind of weird at Duke. He didn't line up in line. I would say in line is the position he lined up the least
Yeah.
at Duke. After watching a few games of his, he lined up in the slot a lot and he lined up in the backfield a lot,
Mhm.
which is what I would actually imagine the Chiefs would use him as. And when he's in the slot, you see Kelce a bit in him for sure. I mean, like Kelce is his own beast, of course, but you see Kelce in him. You don't see 240-pound tight ends really move like he does, like Gray does. So I like the pick. I just really am curious to see how much they use him and what they use him as, because this is the most, I feel like this is the most realized player they've gotten for
Mhm.
this type of role. So it'll be interesting to see how Andy Reid uses him.
I think they're really excited about this guy too, or they wouldn't have traded up for him,
Right.
right? And you'll hear it in a second when we play the audio. But I thought it was funny that Brett Veach said that Noah has a similar, again, don't compare anyone to Travis Kelsey
Right.
skill set, but saying that like nobody's really Travis Kelsey, nobody's going to be Travis Kelsey. There's not going to be another Travis Kelsey, but his play style is very similar, and I think that
Right.
really intrigued them.
Like in the Chiefs when they run the 3x1 sets with Kelce as the one on the solo side, I can see Noah Gray spelling him a few snaps if they want to
Yep.
run 3x1 but take Kelce off the field. They can do that. They can do that last year. Who the hell was going to do
Hmm.
that? Nobody was going to do
No.
that. But Noah Gray can. He can go up against a cornerback and win. He has the. I listened to the Times R's today, and
Hmm.
Seth Kaiser was like, he has the ankle flexion or the ankle flexion, or he
Hmm.
used one of those funny terms that you hear in scouting when they have the hips and the ankle movement where they can like break at the top of stems really well and make separation. Noah Gray can do that. Not a lot of 240-pound tight ends can do that. So he has that. He can fill in for Kelce when he has to come off the field on those passing downs, and he can be on the field with Kelce as well.
So I'll let Brett Veach have the final words on Noah Gray here, kind of explaining why he traded up for Noah Gray and why they kind of liked him in this whole draft process.
I didn't think, I shouldn't say we as a staff, I wasn't sure that this tight end class was super deep. Certainly everyone had Pitts there at the top of the board. I think that there was talent though throughout the draft, these guys were a little bit more, some guys were primary blockers, some guys had a receiving skill set. And early on, we took a liking to Noah Gray and just saw him as a really unique inside slot receiver, H-back, fullback. He's a little undersized for, being an inline player, but it's so hard to replace Travis when he's not in the game because he has such a unique skill set. And Noah has a similar, again, you don't want to compare anyone to Travis Kelce, but Noah has a unique skill set as a slot, bigger tight end receiver. Looking at the board and kind of working through that, Josh Kando was a guy that, we were certainly interested in. And once we fulfilled that kind of need there at defensive end with Josh, we quickly looked at the board and, we knew that we wouldn't be able to get up all that high. So once we got into that range where we felt we can do a flopping of picks that would get us up, we were going to be aggressive. So we just had to wait. So we were literally waiting for 15, 20, 25 picks to go by. We had 2 different deals in place. We actually had the Jets at first, they weren't committing to the move. I think there was a team behind them that said they would commit to the move. And we had just said that if our guy was still on the board, we'd be interested. Once Jets got on the clock, they called us back and they said they would be interested, but we were really identifying that trade probably about 20 picks ahead. We were just waiting. We just couldn't get into that range. We didn't want to surrender a pick. We could have moved up even higher by just surrendering a flat pick, but we wanted to work in volume, and we identified a few teams that were willing to swap picks, and we were okay with shifting down later and allowing a team to come up higher later if we can move up a little in that 5th. But that was a guy that is, again, as soon as we selected Josh Kando, we had our eyes locked on. We called Josh and we welcomed him to the kingdom. And then as soon as we got off the phone, we were back in the draft room on the phone, calling every team to see how we can flop picks, get back up there and get Noah.
I like Brett Veach's reasoning here. I know when he kind of traded up, I was kind of like, oh, what's he going to do here? I was a little anxious about the pick. And then I saw tight end. And I was like, oh, tight end. All right. Okay. No. And then you look into Noah Gray, and then it all makes sense why he traded up there. And I think that it's
Right.
good to see that.